dead air. Very uncomfortable, right? Hi there, Ninja! Welcome back once again to my channel. I'm Rhea and you're still watching Call Center Ninja, sharing with you real stories and tips to enjoy and survive your call center lifestyle. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Click the red subscribe button on YouTube down below. Dead air is a long period of silence or long awkward period of silence that you have within a conversation, and it can get really distracting, especially when you're speaking with a customer over the phone. It also destroys your chance to create rapport or to build rapport with your customer or to engage in conversation with your customer. So how do you really avoid dead air in phone conversations? Here are 5 tips that you can work on. Tip number 1 is to arm yourself with polite phrases or statements, because being polite goes a long way, especially for customers or if you're speaking with customers over the phone. Now, sometimes, you might not exactly know what to say, which is why there is a long, awkward silence. And when that happens, your customers will appreciate it if you are polite and honest. But how can you show that when you're over the phone? The only way for you to show that is to say it yourself. So I suggest you have to have a list of polite phrases that you're going to use when you are presented with a scenario where you don't know what to say anymore. So you can say something like, "Mr. Cooper, thank you so much for waiting. I appreciate your patience in this matter." Tip number 2 is to update your customers as to what you're doing or what you are performing in the customer's account. This is probably one of the things that I like most, because it will really make the customer feel that you are actively taking action on the customer's account and that you're not just slacking or you're not just sleeping. So if there is dead air because you're still doing something on the account, then why not just inform the customer of what you're doing? So you can say something like, "Mr. Customer, I am already pulling up your account." Or, "Mr. Smith, I am already processing your refund. Just give me 1 to 2 minutes until I finish this." Or you can say something like, "Mr. Customer, I am already researching about your situation. I just want to make sure that I can give you correct or accurate information about what you're going through right now." Another thing is you can say something like, "Mr. Customer, I have already processed your request, so just give me 1 to 2 more minutes to put notations on your account or to list down the important things that the next representative needs to know about your account." So it's really just a matter of saying the right things, especially when updating your customer about what you are doing. So your customer will really appreciate it instead of you just being silent without saying anything. And it can really help with avoiding dead air, because at least you're talking about something. You're not just, relaxing. Or the customer might ask you, "Hello, are you still there?" Or, "Did you just hang up on me?" So once your customer tells you that or mentions that, then that is really one sign that you are not doing it right, that you haven't avoided dead air, and it will generally lead to a bad or poor customer service. Tip number 3 is to ask your customer permission to place him or her on hold. If you noticed earlier, a lot of my examples I will just research on it for 1 to 2 minutes. Because for me personally, time frame is very important. If you're the customer on the other line, I'm pretty sure that you've tried being a customer yourself, not just over the phone, but also in department stores or food stations or fast food restaurants. It is very annoying when someone lets you wait for a long period of time without you knowing what's really happening, right? So the best way for you to avoid that is to ask permission and give a time frame. You can say something like, Mr. Smith, okay, my favorite is Mr. Smith. Let's try something else. How about, okay, Mr. Pitt, I have already processed your request. I just need to do a few more things in your account. But I will just be silent or quiet for 1 to 2 minutes here while I do it. Now, rest assured that I will just be on the line. So please just let me know if you have any question while I am silent here. Something like that. So you have to let your customers know what you're doing, as I've mentioned on the previous item, and include a time frame and ask permission. So that way your customer will feel at peace that you did not hang up on him or her. And aside from that, if the customer or you are not really comfortable with a long period of silence, let's just say you're doing something on the line, you're researching or you're processing the request, then you can place the customer on hold. The hold button is there for a reason. Although, you know, there are really some customers who are not comfortable with being placed on hold because it might mean that they will get disconnected. But if it's okay with their customer to be placed on hold with the actual hold music, then go ahead. So you can say something like, Mr. Customer, I just need to place you on hold. Can I do that for at least about 1 to 2 minutes, and I will go back to you after I have finished what I am doing. And for me, if I'm the customer, it's very important that you ask permission. You don't just say, okay, Mr. Smith, I'm going to place you on hold now, okay? Then you place the customer on hold. So I don't think that's such a good thing to do because the customer did not even have a chance to say anything. So please be polite and ask permission to place the customer on hold. So, can I hold you, Mr. Customer? Can I hold you now, Mr. Customer? So don't say that because it doesn't sound good at all. Just tell the customer, can I place you on hold, please? Or may I place you on hold for about a minute? And make sure that you actually go back to the customer after a minute. If there is a need for you to research longer, then tell your customer, Mr. Smith, I need some more time to research on this. So can I place you on hold again for another 1 to 2 minutes? So always go back to your customer because the customer would want to know if you're still there on the line with him or her. Number 4 is to review your knowledge base. So you know why I'm saying this? It's because a lot of dead air situations are actually a result of not knowing what to tell the customer, not knowing what to do in that situation or that scenario, and slow software, or what we commonly say as my computer is so slow or my system is so loading or something like that. However, you know, if you can actually avoid that from happening, then it would be best. Avoid that beforehand. So by researching ahead of time or by studying your knowledge base, studying most commonly asked questions, studying your frequently asked questions, common scenarios, isolated cases, you know, you will avoid dead air because you already have a prepared answer to your customer. So if this situation is very common, then you should already know how to answer or how to respond to your customer to that situation or that case, so that when the time comes that your customer will really ask for that question, then you know how to answer, and you don't always, you know, encounter dead air situation. Then about slow software or your computer is loading, that is something that we really cannot avoid or we do not have any control of, because it's not like, you know, we get a hold of, you know, anything about the computer software. We're just using it. So basically it's with the company's, you know, area of responsibility or the account's area of responsibility. So what I can actually suggest is for you to proactively suggest or provide feedback to your management about your software or your knowledge base. one, if your software is very slow or your computer is loading, then there must be something wrong, and you will not be able to resolve that if you don't proactively offer feedback. Tell your supervisor or your manager that your slow computer is causing you dead air, is causing you to lengthen your conversation than usual. And aside from that, if your knowledge base is something that you think is not very reliable, and when I say that, I actually mean that the keywords are not properly indexed. Let's say you are researching about how to process a refund, and when you research that, similar to when you Google something, you don't see exactly what you're looking for, then it's a bad sign that your knowledge base is not working as it's supposed to work, as it's supposed to be. So when you research how to process a refund, that is very, very specific. So it should appear on the first page or even first two search results in your knowledge base. But if that doesn't happen and you're still getting confused of what you're getting from your knowledge base, then maybe it's time for you to reach out to your management and tell them that the knowledge base is not that effective when it comes to searching for information. Because we have to admit it, we cannot memorize everything. We need something to refer to and to look at when we are taking calls, and that is exactly our knowledge base. So there, I hope you consider that suggestion. I know I talk a lot, but I hope that helps. Okay, now, tip number 5 is to engage in small talk or conversations. This is probably my least favorite because I am quite the introvert, even over the phone, and sometimes I just don't know how to have, I just don't know how to engage in small talk or conversations. I even hate small talk, and this is, if you don't know what this is, or if you're not yet familiar, this is the most commonly known phrase, which is, how is the weather down there? Or how is the weather up there? Of course, you can have a lot of conversation starters, or something that you can tell the customer while you're on dead air. But personally, I don't have a lot of those small talk conversations. So, if you're something who can, or who are actually comfortable with that, then better arm yourself with questions that you think can, help the dead air situation. But I suggest you veer away from sensitive topics like religion, politics. That's exactly one of the reasons that I try to avoid small talk in phone conversations, because I don't want to be that person who gets to ask that awkward question and then awkward. So there, I mean, if you are into it and if you think that you're comfortable with it, you can ask questions from the customer. Say, for example, if the customer is traveling, and if the, the vibe of the call is not intense, like the customer is happy, you both are happy, then you can try inserting or injecting that small talk, like, when are you leaving for Peru? Where are you traveling? Those things, so that you can avoid that dreaded dead air conversation. And so that's about it for today. You can certainly avoid dead air. Those are just some of the tips that I have based on experience. Now, if you have more, please do not forget to comment down below. I read each and every comment. And thank you all so much if you've been watching my videos for some time now. It really means a lot to me if you comment, or if you like my video, if you share it. And if you haven't yet, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and connect with me on social media. I would love to know you better. Also, read the description down below for some of the notes and links that I have. And don't forget that I will have a new video next Friday. So see you again, and take care. Bye-bye.